Hi everyone, a very good morning to all of you. Guys, today is 8th of January and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. In this particular video, we will be discussing entire analysis of Hindu. We'll take all the articles along with their background as well as detailed way forward. And before starting up the video, I would like to tell you that you can download the entire explainer PDF of this particular session from our Telegram channel. Link for Telegram is given in the description box in YouTube. Okay, and certain things I would like to tell you that in this particular session, we are going to discuss the entire Hindu newspaper. We are going to discuss the entire Hindu newspaper. Also, we are going to cover the MCQ questions from the current affairs as well as from certain static areas which are important for our examination. Okay, and also we are going to see one mapping entry, particularly entry which was in news. So this is the structure of the class, and now let's start with this session formally. First of all, in every class we take a newspaper overview so that we can understand placement of different articles as well as also we can understand that which articles are important for our examination. So first of all, let's take the overview. Now, in overview, first article that we have here, Jammu and Kashmir to have no local body members. We'll take this particular article. GST collections reveal a dissonance in consumption. We'll take this particular article also. Then further moving on, after that we have these advertisements, etc. Nothing important is given. Then in city section, largely advertisements and regional news, etc. are there. So we will be moving on and directly will reach to editorial section, and in editorial we have this article, a new high. Now this article talks about ISRO's success in Aditya L1 recently. We'll take this particular article. Then here we have article Aviation Professionalism. We'll take this particular article also for examination. Structured negotiation as a boost for disability rights. This article also we are going to see with respect to examination. Christmas under the rubble of Bethlehem. So article is talking about Israel-Gaza war. Now I have read this entire article, but article does not contains that much academic substance. So I'll not advise you to go too much in this article. Then further moving on, text and context, we have this article, rise in child marriages. We'll take this article completely. Then we have this article, how voice cloning through AI works. We'll take this particular article also for exam. Then moving on, here we have one particular article. Maldives suspends three deputy ministers for remarks against Modi. So recently guys, you have already seen that Prime Minister visited Lakshadweep, and as Prime Minister visited Lakshadweep, people in Maldives started to criticize that particular thing. It was said that deliberately now India is trying to develop Lakshadweep so that Indian tourists who visit Maldives, rather than going to Maldives, they go to Lakshadweep. And often what happens, this is a very unprofessional kind of a thing and unaccepted kind of a thing, that even the ministers in Maldives, government officials in Maldives, they started criticizing Prime Minister, and in response the three deputy ministers have been suspended by Maldives. Now we have seen in past few days that actually, well, as the elections have happened in Maldives and the new president Mr. Muizu has come in Maldives, since then it has been seen that Maldives has become too much inclined towards China, and such kind of things are now coming. Okay, moving on in this capacity guys, then we have here one article, use social media influencers as Prime Minister tells police. We'll take this particular article also. Then further moving on, we have here political articles, etc. Nothing much important is given. Okay, here we have one article, flexible courses, IIT open door for students studying in far-flung areas. We'll take this particular article. Here guys, you can see in a first, IAF C-130 with Garuda commandos make night landing at Kargil. So IAF C-130, it is a transport aircraft of Indian Air Force, and it is used to transport heavy artillery, weapons as well as the personals. So C-130 has landed in Kargil in night time. It shows the defense preparedness. It shows the defense capabilities of India. Okay, then moving on, today we on Monday business page is not there. We have this money wise page, and it contains the advices related to investment, etc. Nothing important for exam is there. Then on world page, Israeli army wraps up major combat in northern Gaza. South Korea accuses North of firing shells on the third day. Okay, then guys, we have this sports section, and in last we have science page, and in today's science page we have this article, IIT Delhi teams make first high resolution landslide risk map for India. will take this particular article also for the examination. So this is guys overview of entire newspaper, and I hope you have got an idea that which articles are important here, and we are going to see all these articles in the today's session. Now, before starting up the session, let's first wrap up our MCQ section. Now guys, on Saturday, I have given MCQ questions. First, I will discuss solution of those answers, and then I will take MCQ questions for today. I hope it is clear. And this is very good to all the students who have written their answers in comment box. Very good. You please also see that what you have answered and what is exactly the right answer. So, we have taken this particular question. Consider the following statements with respect to India's debt situation. Now, I told you that this question has been asked because recently IMF has released a report talking on the debt projections of India by 27-28, and government of India also responded. So first statement that was there. Now in this context we have asked this question. The first statement that was there, federal and state debt to GDP targets set by FRBM Act are 20% and 40%. Second statement is the ratio of India's public debt to GDP is now under 60%. Now, first of all, statement number 1 is wrong. Why statement number 1 is wrong? Because the limits that have been set by FRBM is 40% for union, 20% for state, and in total 60% for both union as well as state. Here what it says that the federal and state debt to GDP target are 20% it is saying for federal and 40% it is saying for state. No, it is wrong. It is 40% for union or federal and 20% for the state. So opposite has been written. So therefore statement 1 is wrong. The ratio of India's public debt to GDP is now under 60%. No, it is not 60%. Right now it is standing at 81%, and IMF says that it might reach to 100% by 27-28 under the worst case scenarios. So this statement is also wrong. So what is the right answer? Right answer is none of the above, option D. Option D. Then moving on, and let's take the question number 2. So the question number 2, it is a previous year question. It is a PYQ question already asked in the UPSC CSE prelims examination. And question reads, the chairman of public sector bank are selected by A, Bank Board Bureau, RBI, Union Ministry of Finance, management of concerned bank. Now, guys, the time or the year in which this question was asked, first of all, the right answer was A, Bank Board Bureau. But one update I want to give you here, that since then situation has been changed. And in this capacity, I would like to tell you certain important things. So basically guys, what happened? Bank Board Bureau that was responsible for selecting the chiefs of the bank, it has now been replaced by FSIB, that is Financial Service Institutions Board, FSIB. So right now Bank Board Bureau does not exist, but in that year Bank Board Bureau was there. So BBB was the right answer, but now it has been removed. Why it has been removed? Because first of all guys, understand this particular thing, that what happened, Delhi High Court, it referred to Bank Board Bureau as incompetent body. It referred to Bank Board Bureau as incompetent authority, and therefore it was struck and FSIB was brought in its particular place. And when we talk about the FSIB, it is a government body set up under the Department of Financial Services. It is a government body set up under the Department of Financial Services, and now it is FSIB's duty to refer that who is to be appointed as full-time director, non-executive chairman of the state-run financial services institution. Okay, so even the banks also they recommend. Fine. So that is all guys about this particular question. And now moving on to the next question that we asked, that is the question number 3. So question number 3 was this: consider the following statement, All India Motor Transport Congress is an autonomous government body. Now this statement is wrong. Why? Because All India Motor Transport Congress, it is a not-for-profit organization of truckers and transporters. Okay, so recently we have seen that after this Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita amendment was brought and more punishment was introduced for hit and run cases, this All India Motor Transport Congress was protesting. So if you see the name, it looks like that it is a government body, but no, it is not a government body. Then second, the past 10 years have seen an increase in hit and run incident. Now that is a pretty obvious statement. So the statement 2 is correct. So statement 2 is correct. Okay, statement 1 is not correct. Both are also not correct. None of the above is also not correct. Right option is B. Right option is B. So this is the solution of previous sessions MCQs, and now let's take MCQs for today. Now let's take MCQs for today. So guys, please, as you have done in the previous session, whatever is right answer according to you, leave that in the comment section, please. So first question is with respect to the Digi Yatra, because Digi Yatra was recently in the news. So first statement is Digi Yatra is a digital initiative to improve the ease of travel through railways and airways. Through railways and airways. Second, it is developed by National Informatics Center. So what is the correct option? A, B, C, D. Choose that. Then moving on to the question number 2. So guys, question number 2 is, as we have discussed, it is a PYQ, and the question number 2 says, consider the following statement. Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Body is the first regulatory body set up by the Government of India. One of the tasks is to ensure competitive market for gas. Appeals against the decision of PNGRB go before the Appellate Tribunal for Electricity. So which is the correct option? Choose that particular option. Okay. And then moving to question number 3. So question number 3, it is again a current inspired MCQ question. So it talks about Marcos. So recently Marcos was in news. We have seen it also. So statement number 1, Marcos was established in 1911 under the British occupation. Second, Marcos' role is only found in coastal regions. And third, they operate solely for the Navy services. So what is the correct code according to you? Please choose that correct code and write it in the comment box. Now, moving on, and let's take the mapping entry for today. Let's take the mapping entry for today. So today mapping entry that we are going to take is Lakshadweep Island. Lakshadweep Island. Now why Lakshadweep Island we are covering? Because recently we have seen that Prime Minister of India has made a visit to Lakshadweep Islands. Okay. Now when we talk about, guys, Lakshadweep Island, there is a significance of this visit to Lakshadweep Island, and the significance is something like this, that recently we have seen that elections happened in Maldives, and as elections happened in Maldives, new government has come in Maldives, and new president Mr. Mohammad Muzu, he happens to be more inclined towards China, and the moment he has come to the election, he has taken certain steps against India. For example, India's troops that were present in Maldives, they have asked to leave. Second, what happened? Basically hydrographic surveys that India and Maldives were conducting since 2019, those hydrographic surveys have been suspended. So Maldives is clearly showing anti-India policies and is more inclined towards the China. So in order to give a befitting reply to Maldives, what India is now projecting. Now see, basically when we talk about Maldives economy is dependent on tourism, and largest number of tourists that visit Maldives are from India. So therefore India is projecting Lakshadweep as an alternative to Maldives. Okay, as an alternative to Maldives, and it is a subtle hint to Maldives that if you don't correct your policies with respect to India, India is going to take many more such kind of steps, which at the end of the day would jeopardize Maldives only. So it is a subtle hint. So therefore Prime Minister has visited Lakshadweep Islands. Now basically when we talk about Lakshadweep and Andaman Nicobar, here the questions have been asked in previous years, and the questions actually have come from mapping area. So first of all guys, when we talk about respective location, so here we have our great country India. Okay, and here we have the Lakshadweep archipelago. Now first of all guys, when we talk about Lakshadweep, so here we have the main Lakshadweep archipelago. Now when we talk about Lakshadweep, it consists around 36 islands. So here there is main Lakshadweep archipelago, and here we have Minicoy. Now first of all, which degree channel divides Lakshadweep and Minicoy? So 9-degree channel divides Lakshadweep and Minicoy. Keep this particular thing in your mind. And then what channel divides Lakshadweep and Maldives? Which channel divides Lakshadweep and Maldives? So 8-degree channel. Please note it down. 8-degree channel divides Lakshadweep and Maldives. A question on this line can be asked in the this year's prelims questions. this year's prelim paper. Now, let's understand little bit more about the islands that we have here. We are not only going to cover Lakshadweep but also Andaman and Nicobar Island also. Here we see the basic geography. So if a question comes, you are able to solve this particular question. So first, as I told you that Lakshadweep, now, first of all, understand this particular thing. Both Lakshadweep and Andaman Nicobar Islands, they have been called as the arms of India in the Indian Ocean. They have been called as the arms of India in the Indian Ocean. Now, first of all, when we talk about Lakshadweep, I told you we have 36 islands. So here we have the major islands of Lakshadweep, and out of the major, what are the most important islands? So Agati is one of the most important island. Then Kavarati is another important island. You might have heard about Kalapani also. So this is the Kalapani. Now if we see the north to south orientation, then Agati will be in north, Kavarati is in the south, then further south is the Kalapani. Okay, and here on the northeast we have Chetlath. So Chetlath is in the northeast, and the southern we have the Kalapani, and after Kalapani we have Minicoy. In absolute sense, in the absolute south amongst all the islands will be Minicoy. And when we talk about Minicoy and the other Lakshadweep island, they have been divided through the 9-degree channel. Okay, fine, they are divided through 9-degree channel, and below Minicoy there will be the Maldives. Okay, and when we talk about the Maldives is, and Lakshadweep, they are divided by 8-degree channel. Okay, then guys, further moving on. Okay, then we have the Andaman and Nicobar Island also. Now, when we talk about Andaman Nicobar Island, please understand the north to south orientation of Andaman Nicobar Island also. So, on the northernmost, we have North Andaman, then we have Middle Andaman. So, keep it in your mind from north to south. North Andaman, okay, so north, and for north, okay, North Andaman, then Middle Andaman. Then after that we have Lower Andaman. Then we have Little Andaman. Okay, then we have the Nicobar Island groups, and here we have Car Nicobar. Okay, and here we have Great Nicobar. Okay, so again, north to south orientation: North Andaman, Middle Andaman, Lower Andaman, Little Andaman. Then Nicobar will come, Car Nicobar and Great Nicobar. Okay, also one more thing, you need to understand this particular thing, guys, that we have Duncan Passage and 10-degree channel. Okay, so what divides Andaman, Little Andaman and Car Nicobar? Fine, so here we have Little Andaman and here we have Car Nicobar. Okay, Little Andaman and we have Car Nicobar. So we have 10-degree channel. We have 10-degree channel which divides Little Andaman and Car Nicobar. Okay, so here 10-degree channel will come, Little Andaman and Car Nicobar. Okay, so please keep in your mind these important 8-degree, 9-degree and 10-degree channel. Again, just I will take 10 seconds. 9-degree divides Lakshadweep and Minicoy. Okay, 9-degree divides Lakshadweep and Minicoy. 8-degree divides Maldives and Minicoy, and 10-degree divides the Nicobar as well as Andaman and the Andaman and Nicobar. Okay, so this is about it. I hope that you have understood it. And now moving to the today's session, but before that, some important points I would like to talk about Lakshadweep Island. First of all, when we talk about Lakshadweep, it is the smallest union territory. It consists of 36 islands. And what is the word Lakshadweep literally means? It means, in Malayalam as well as Sanskrit, it means to 100,000 islands, 1,100,000 islands. And when we talk about Minicoy, okay, and Amandivi group, they are the main island territories. Okay, Kavarati is the capital, and basically the mention of these Lakshadweep Island is mentioned into the Buddhist Jataka stories. Now, what are the Buddhist Jatakas? So, Jatakas are the stories from the previous births of the Buddha. So, there Lakshadweep Island have been mentioned, and basically what happened in the 7th century, Muslims arrived in this particular island, and post 7th century, the Islam has flourished in Lakshadweep. Also, we see this particular thing that Chola, Cheras, okay, they have habituated this particular island, and in the Middle Ages, in the kingdom of Kannur, this particular island came. Okay, then also Portuguese ruled this particular island from 1419 to 1545. Okay, and then guys, what happened? Tipu Sultan, fine, Tipu Sultan succeeded the Muslim house, okay, and he emerged as the ruler. And then finally what happened? British captured this particular territory. So this is the brief history of Lakshadweep island and the related important facts which might be asked in examination. Fine, so please take a screenshot of this. Fine, some of this could be asked in this prelims question. Okay, so moving on, and let's take the discussion one by one in detail. Okay, so guys, every class we start with the GS quotation, and the today's GS quotation we are going to take is from Benjamin Franklin. So Benjamin Franklin says, justice will not be served until those who are unaffected are as outraged as those who are. So justice will only come when the people who are not met with injustice will also come out and will speak. Until and unless they will not come and will not speak, justice will not come. So apathy cannot be there. And indifference cannot be there for justice to prevail. You can use this particular idea in GS paper number 4. Okay. Now, moving on, and let's take the first article. So guys, the first article that we have here. Okay. So first article that we have here, Jammu and Kashmir to have no local body members from tomorrow. Jammu and Kashmir to have no local body members from tomorrow. So basically, what is this entire issue all about? So the panchayats, okay, local bodies in Jammu and Kashmir, last election that were held, they were held in 2018. Okay, so late 2018 elections were happened, and total 27,281 panchayat members were elected. They took their oath in 2019. And now the 5-year term from 2019 to 2024, 5-year term of Jammu and Kashmir Panchayat is getting over. Now next election are to be conducted, but next election will not be conducted until and unless delimitation is carried in Jammu and Kashmir. This is what has been announced by the government. So from tomorrow, there will be no panchayat member in Jammu and Kashmir because their term will get over, and there is no clarity when the next election are going to held. So this is the reason that this particular news has come. Now, however, beyond this, there is nothing important in this particular article, but because of this development, the Panchayati Raj institutions and their provisions become important for our examination. Panchayati Raj institution and their provisions, they become important. So now what we are going to do? We are going to take the basic important details for this particular article which can be asked in your examination. And this article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2 polity, specifically prelims examination. Now first of all, guys, when we talk about self-governance in India, when we talk about the local governance in India, so Lord Ripon has been called as the father of local self-governance, okay, because of the early reforms in the local governance that he introduced. Now, post-independence, this was a kind of a question that whether we should come out with some local governance institutions or not. But at that point of a time, Panchayati Raj institutions were not constituted. Why they were not constituted? Because you might already be knowing that India got independence with the partition. And because of this particular partition, harmony at the local level, harmony in the communities was a major important thing. And it was seen that, see, when we talk about the villages, at the villages often we found that there were divides on the line of caste, there were divides on the name of religion. So therefore right now, at that point of a time, it was assumed that we should wait for some time. And therefore what happened, Article 40 was instituted in the Constitution of India. Now when we talk about Article 40, what Article 40 talks about? Article 40 talks about for the organization of village panchayat. and it is a DPSP, Directive Principle of State Policy. Okay, so means that whenever the government finds it comfortable, they can come out with this particular provision. So of Panchayati Raj institution, it suggested one at the village level, then at intermediate level, and then at a district level. Then there was the direct election for these panchayats that was suggested by Balwant Rai Mehta committee. Then 1959, what happened? Rajasthan, Nagaur, it constituted the panchayats. It constituted the panchayat. Then in 1977, Ashok Mehta committee came. Ashok Mehta committee recommended that panchayats need to be instituted in India. Panchayati Raj institution need to be instituted, and they suggested for a 2-tier structure. Social audit also they suggested. What is the social audit? Money that is being given to panchayat for developmental work, it is to be audited whether they have used it properly or not. So social audit was recommended. Then it was recommended that reservation needs to be there in the panchayat so that disadvantaged sections, they got a proper representation. Then Ministry of Panchayati Raj needs to be there at the state level, which can see that whether Panchayati Raj institutions are working effectively or not. Then in 1985, GAVK Rao committee also came, which suggested the Panchayati Raj institutions should be created in India. And then LM Singhvi committee, Thungon committee, and Gadgil committee, they also recommended the constitution of Panchayati Raj institution, and also they recommended that it should be constitutionally be brought. By amending the constitution, these 3 committees recommended that Panchayati Raj institution should be brought. Okay, and then multiple other study groups, committees were also constituted, but these are the major committees which recommended the constitution of Panchayati Raj institution. And then guys, what happened? We came out finally with the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act in 1992. And with the coming of the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, what happened? Let's see briefly the provisions of the Panchayati Raj institution. And guys, after this, you need not to read the Panchayat chapter in your Lakshmikant. So if you have done it, there is no need to read the Panchayat chapter in Lakshmikant. Okay. Fine. So first is, what happened? Part 9 was added in the Constitution of India, and Article 243 to 243O, Article 243 to 243O were instituted to deal with the Panchayats and Panchayati Raj institution. Also, 11th schedule got added in the Constitution of India, which has 29 items that were to be given to Panchayats for implementation. 29 items were given in 11th schedule. Now, when we talk about the major provisions of the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, what are these major provisions? Number 1, it provided that at the level of village, there will be a Gram Sabha. At the level of village, there will be a Gram Sabha. And Gram Sabha will consist all the people who are above the voting age, that is 18 plus. So, you know that earlier the voting age was 21 years. It got reduced to 18 years. It got reduced to 18 years with 61st Constitutional Amendment Act. So Gram Sabha is a body at the village level which have all the people above the age of 18. Then there was the 3-tier structure of Panchayat, village, then intermediate, then at district level, 3-level structure of Panchayati Raj institution will be there. Then reservation is also provided by the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. Now when we talk about reservation, first of all, reservation is given to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Now, reservation to them is given according to their proportion. So, whatever their percentage is, according to proportion, reservation is given. Then, the position of chairman in the panchayat is to be reserved for SC and ST. So, this is the reservation provision for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Then also the reservation is provided for women, and 1/3, 33% of the seats are to be reserved for women. But if I tell you the data, right now 44% of the panchayat members are women. Okay, and certain states, they have increased it to 50% also, but minimum 33% seats are to be reserved for women. And this is very important provision. The state, if they want, they can also allow for reservation for backward classes, other backward classes, but it is not a compulsion. If state wants, they can introduce it. After that, State Election Commission was constituted, who will conduct the elections for the panchayat as well as municipalities. Then Finance Commission was constituted, State Finance Commission, it was given the role, State Finance Commission was given the role that it will be responsible for recommending that how resources of panchayat can be augmented, how state needs to give money to the panchayat so that they can become as an effective institution of local governance. Then bar to courts. Courts cannot interfere in the electoral matters of panchayat. Courts cannot interfere in the electoral matters of panchayat. Then guys, after that, next is the duration. Now this is a very important, part, because the Jammu and Kashmir law, Jammu and Kashmir issue pertains to this only. First of all, duration of a panchayat will be 5 years. Duration of a panchayat will be 5 years. Now understand this thing. A panchayat can be dissolved before its term if the state legislature deems. So duration will be 5 years, and new panchayat election should be conducted before the expiry of the term. Before the expiry of the term. However, if a panchayat is dissolved, then within 6 months a new election should be conducted. Okay, so if it is expiry, natural expiry, then before expiry election should be conducted. In Jammu and Kashmir, it is a natural expiry of the term that is happening, and before that election should have been conducted somewhere in 2023 end, but it has not happened. If it is a dissolution within 6 months, election should be held. And also guys, understand this thing, that if dissolution is happening, for example, if new panchayat is to be constituted in 2024 January, and let's say if dissolution is happening in 2023 December, fine. What I mean to say? I mean to say that if only 6 months are remaining, or less than 6 months are remaining, and at that time if dissolution happens, then there is no need to conduct the elections, no need to conduct the new Panchayati Raj institution. Okay. Now understand this thing. Suppose if a dissolution happened, and let's say the remaining term was more than 6 months, then new panchayat will be brought, and that new panchayat will serve only for the remaining term, For example, existing panchayat served for 4 years. After 4 years, it was dissolved. Now the new election are to be conducted because the remaining term is more than 6 years, it is 1 year. So new elections are to be conducted, and as new elections will come, new panchayat that will come, it will serve for 1 year, because this is the remaining time. And panchayats, they have also been given power to tax, to collect toll, to collect certain fees for their financial viability. Okay, so financial decentralization has also happened. So this is guys all about it, and after this you are not needed to read the Lakshmikant Panchayat chapter. So this is guys all about this particular issue. Now going on, and let's take the second article. Okay, so as we have this particular second article, what it reads: GST collection reveals a dissonance in consumption growth across states. GST collections reveal a dissonance in consumption growth across states. We are going to see with this article with respect to GS paper number 3 economy, as well as for prelims examination, economy conceptual part. We are going to see this particular article. Let's see this particular article. So first of all guys, you know this particular thing, that we often measure progress of a nation by measuring its GDP. First of all, what is GDP? GDP, gross domestic product, GDP. GDP refers to the total value of goods and services, in a nation in a particular given period of time. Now, when we talk about GDP, how we calculate GDP? First of all, let's discuss the formula of calculating GDP. So, you can calculate the GDP by this formula: government final consumption expenditure plus private final consumption expenditure plus investments plus net export, or export minus import. If you add all these items, you will get the GDP of a nation. Now, when we talk about all these components, private final consumption happens to be the most important component in the GDP of a nation. Now, what is private final consumption expenditure? Fine, let's say the citizens, they are consuming a lot of things. For example, I need mobile, I need pen, I need a camera. Okay, I am consuming certain other goods. So the total consumption that is being done by the private sector, that is PFCE. Okay. So now the expenditure by the private individuals on goods and services, that is PFCE. Now understand this particular thing, that if consumption by the private individuals will be more, what will happen? The GDP of a country will go up. And if I just give you an estimated idea, around 55% of the GDP is responsible because of this element, that is the private final consumption expenditure. So guys, just keep it in your mind that whenever economic slump is going on, what country does, what a government does, government tries to give money to the people so that they can demand more. If aggregate demand in an economy is more, means people are demanding more and more goods, GDP will go up. So always the focus is on demand by private sector. So private sector's consumption is very important. Private sector's consumption is very important. So keep this concept in your mind, and we will needing this concept in just 1 minute. Okay, now coming to the next equation. So GST, goods and services tax. Now when we talk about GST, guys, what is a GST? GST is a consumption based tax. GST is a consumption based tax. Okay, now see this particular thing. Now what has happened recently what has happened, NSO, National Statistical Office, it has basically two things have happened recently. First of all, if I tell you the GST collections, state GST, SGST, state GST collections have improved in the month of April to December and has increased by 15.2%, which is a very good thing. GST collection is increasing. Now see, when you will pay GST, you will pay GST when you buy some product, when you consume some service, then only you pay GST. Now, if GST collections are going up, it means people are consuming more and more, only then the GST will go up. So GST collections have went up by 15.2%. This is a growth rate in the GST collection. Good thing. But at the same time, recently NSO, it provided that actually what has happened, private final consumption expenditure would grow just 4.4%, which is the slowest since 2002 and 2003, except for COVID years. So two things are coming. GST collections have increased, which shows that consumption is increasing, but NSO says this thing, that the consumption by private sector is growing at a very slow rate, just at the rate of 4.4%, and it is lowest since 2002-3, except the COVID years. Okay, so how you make sense of this particular data? So basically, it shows that in India, there is a huge regional disparity in terms of consumption. Let's understand this particular thing. See, when we talk about the combined state GST collections, where all the states are taken, in the combined state GST collections, it has increased. But what has happened, certain states are only the ones where consumption are going up, and because of their contribution, it has went up. Now, here if you analyze, so basically guys, we have the example of Madhya Pradesh. Here the GST collection growth rate is 18.8%. We have Maharashtra. Here the state GST collection rate has increased by 18.2%. Then we have Karnataka. Here state GST collection has increased by 18.1%. But at the same time, we have some other states. For example, Gujarat, just 9.5%. West Bengal, just 9.8%. So understand this particular thing. India's GST collections are going up, which shows that consumption is increasing, but this consumption is not increasing evenly throughout the length of the country. Only there are few states where the consumption has increased and they have reported high GST collections. And what are the major performing states? Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Telangana. Okay, Gujarat, West Bengal, Odisha, Bihar, these are the states where GST collections have not increased, means consumption in these states actually is very much low. Consumption in these particular states is actually very much low. Okay, so this is guys all about this particular concept, and these concepts you need to have in your mind for prelims as well as for mains examination. Now moving on, and let's go to the next article. Okay, a new high. Okay, now this particular article guys, we are going to see with respect to prelims science and technology. We are going to see this with respect to prelims science and technology, as well as for GS paper number 3 space technologies. We are going to see this particular article. So both places it will be important. Now, first of all, before going in this particular article, I would like to tell you some basic background information. And once you understand this background information, you will be able to understand this particular article better. Okay, you will be able to understand this particular article better. Okay. Now guys, what has happened? Recently Aditya L1 was launched. Okay. Recently Aditya L1 was launched by ISRO. Now first of all, what is Aditya L1? Now Aditya L1 is a dedicated mission by ISRO to study sun, to study sun. Okay. And why the name L1 is being used? Name L1 is being used because L1 means the Lagrange point number 1. Now let's first of all understand these Lagrange points, then we will come back to this particular article. So basically guys, here if you see carefully, here if you see carefully on this particular picture, so here we have earth, okay, here we have earth, here we have moon, here we have sun. Okay, okay, we have earth, we have moon, and here we have sun. Now we want to send a satellite or an observatory to observe the sun. Now understand this particular thing, that here there is one particular point which is called as L1. L stands for Lagrange. L stands for Lagrange. Lagrange point 1, L1. Now this is a point which is 1.5 million kilometers away, which is 1.5 million kilometers away from Earth. Now you see this particular thing. This is a point where Sun and Earth's gravity counter each other. Sun's and Earth's gravity counter each other. Now suppose I tie a thread with this pen, okay, and I pull pen from this side with a thread and I pull pen from this side with a thread. What will happen when the counter force will be there? The pen will be stabilized in between. Now understand this thing. Basically, if any object is placed here, sun will pull it towards its side, earth will pull it towards its side. And as these two forces will be counterbalanced, any object will get suspended here in between and will stay here. So Lagrange point number 1, it is that point between the earth and sun where gravity of earth and sun will counterbalance and an object will get stabilized. So what we have done, we have launched Aditya L1 and it will be docked, it will dock itself here. And what has happened guys? Just 2 days back, successfully ISRO has placed Aditya in L1 orbit. In L1 orbit, it has placed itself. So this is a success of Aditya L1. This Aditya L1 will stay here for 5-year period, and for 5-year period, it will observe the sun directly. Now understand this particular thing guys, that what happens, often we have seen that moon makes an we have seen that there are the lunar eclipses which obstructs the vision of the sun. Now if you see, Aditya L1 has been placed here and moon will not be impacting Aditya L1's vision to the sun. Okay, so it will have unfettered, unrestricted view of sun. Now what is objective of this particular mission? So understand this particular thing guys, that here we have a sun and different layers of sun are there. For example guys, there are the inner layers of the sun, and in the inner layer we have core. Then we have the outer layer of the sun. And when we talk about the outer layer of the sun, first is the photosphere. Then there is the chromosphere. Chromosphere is the surface of the sun, and then the corona. So if you know that the sun, its aura, its flares, they go to a particular zone. So this particular zone till which the sun's aura, sun's flare will extend, it is called as corona. Okay, so basically as we talk about this particular Aditya L1 is going to study the chromosphere, photosphere, corona of the sun, and for 5 years it will make its study, and it is a success for India. It is a success for India as India has successfully positioned Aditya L1 in its halo. Now guys, understand a few things here, that as we talk about the Aditya L1, okay, this Aditya L1 has carried 7 payloads. It has carried 7 instruments. And these are VELC, a what is it? It is a coronagraph to study the uppermost layer of the sun's atmosphere. Okay, so you know the corona. Already I have showed you the corona, which is the outermost layer, or it is a kind of an envelope around the sun. So VELC, okay, fine. Then SUIT, an ultraviolet imaging telescope, Solex and Helios 10. What they will do? They will study the solar flares and coronal mass ejection. So solar flares, they are high intensity supercharged solar winds that are there, which are emitted by the sun, and coronal mass ejection. Then there is SPEX and PAPA to study the solar wind plasma, and a set of other digital magnetometers are also there to study the magnetic field, fine, around the Aditya L1. So these are the 7 payloads that have been launched here. Okay, now understand one particular thing, guys, that we are celebrating Aditya L1 for the success that it is going to achieve for India. Very good thing. But at the same time, we also need to understand this particular thing, that Aditya L1's capability is very much limited, it is very much small compared to the James Webb Space Telescope, which has been launched by 3 agencies, that is NASA, European Space Agency, Canadian Space Agency. And one very important component of this James Webb Telescope is this, that they have included private sector also for developing the components, in this. Now, what article is saying? Article is saying that what ISRO can achieve, ISRO can actually do even more by expanding its own. What ISRO can do? ISRO can do more by inviting the private sector. Now you know this particular thing, guys, that many startups now in India, they are also going for the space exploration. And already after the coming of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, government is liberalizing the explorations in the space sector. So what we can do? We can actually do more if ISRO can invite private sectors, ISRO can invite startups, ISRO can collaborate with the other space agencies, and we can lead to even high impact missions. So this is, guys, all about this particular article. Then moving on, the next article, aviation professionalism, which India must draw from. Okay, this article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 3, infrastructure aviation sector. GS paper number 3, infrastructure aviation sector. Now, guys, recently you might have seen this particular news, that what happened recently in Japan, there was a major aviation accident that happened. Recently in Japan, major aviation accident happened, where what happened? One Japan Airlines Airbus A350 aircraft, it got collided with a Japanese Coast Guard aircraft at Tokyo airport. So these 2 aircrafts got collided, and because of that, what happened? This Japan Airlines Airbus A350, it actually got burnt in flames, and also it led to 5 fatalities on the smaller aircraft, that is this Japanese Coast Guard aircraft. 5 fatalities happened on this. Now, this is a fatal accident which happened on the Tokyo airport. 2 airplanes got collided. Now, understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about the aviation sector, it happens to be one of the safest because it has learned greatly from the past accidents, past mistakes that it has committed. And such things now are not acceptable. Now they say this particular thing, that actually, though this accident happened, which is unfortunate, but actually Japanese authorities, the crew members who were there on the aircraft as well as airport, they responded very swiftly. Okay. Now, first of all, understand this particular thing, guys, that whenever an aircraft is launched commercially, that aircraft has to demonstrate that an entire aircraft with the maximum density configuration, means all the people sitting with their luggage, an aircraft can be completely evacuated within 90 seconds. Within 90 seconds. These are the high standards that are followed in aviation industry. Okay. And only by using the half of the emergency exit. If there are the 6 emergency exit, only by using 3 emergency exit can you evacuate the entire airplane in 90 seconds or not. This is the high standard that is followed. And when we talk about, guys, Japan's case, already we know that how disciplined the people in Japan are, but here what happened? The crew, they depicted high quality of discipline, and all the passengers also followed the safety instructions while they were leaving this aircraft. The people, they did not carry their handbags, or they did not crowded the slide when they exited the aircraft, and the world can learn a lot with this Japan's example, Now, guys, if we see, in contrast, guys, what has happened in India also, certain incidents happened. So there was now, okay, so basically, guys, when we talk about certain other incidents, Yes, just see this particular thing that I have not added in the main notes because it is not needed. But just to tell you, I am giving you an example. So basically, guys, what happened in 2005, there was an Air France flight, okay, which overshot the runway. And what happened? Though 309 passengers were evacuated, 11 they were injured. What happened when the people were leaving the aircraft? Many of them have hand luggages. Then after that, guys, what happened in Thiruvananthapuram? Okay, so there was a flight in 2016. There was a flight in 2016. Okay, it also got so basically, so there was an Emirates flight EK521 from Thiruvananthapuram to Dubai, and in 2016 it crashed while landing. Also, what happened at that point of a time? People, rather than leaving the aircraft, they were grabbing their luggage. So when we see these particular examples and when we compare it with the Japanese example, we find that the authorities, crew members, as well as passengers in Japan, they have shown a great discipline. They have shown a great discipline. And also what happened, the Japanese authorities, they have made the ATC transcripts public. What is ATC? Aviation, basically, when we talk about the aviation traffic control, ATC, it is responsible for giving the instruction to the aircraft that when they have to take off, whenever they have to land, on which runway they have to take off. All these instructions are given by ATC. So ATC transcripts have been made public. Now, when we compare it with the other incidents happening, fine, we have to learn a lot from Japanese standards. Now, guys, when we talk about India's case also, so what has happened? An extremely hard landing was done by the crew of an Air India Airbus flight from Kochi to Dubai in 2023. Hard landing was done. Okay, so if I tell you about the hard landing, so basically, what is a landing of one? There is a landing of 1G. What is the landing of 1G? It means that on the wheels. So when the aircraft will land, obviously there will be the burden, or there will be the pressure, or there will be the weight on the wheels. So if the pressure on the wheel is equivalent to the weight of the aircraft, that is called as the landing of 1G. But in this case, landing of 3.5G happened. 3.5G means on the wheels, the weight of 3.5 aircraft was there. Now this will lead to a lot of problems in the landing module, okay, on the suspension and a lot of things. So what happened? This particular hard landing happened, but up till now nothing has come out. Did the captain reported this hard landing in the technical log? Okay, what actions did Air India took in this particular capacity? Nothing has happened, and it took actually 10 days to even report this particular matter, which is a very serious matter. So if these matters, such serious things will not be reported, another fatal accident might happen. Another fatal accident might happen. And it has been provided that the DGCA, Directorate General of Civil Aviation, as well as Air India, should look at the accidents that have happened onto the aircraft, multiple number of, no, they are minor accidents which has happened into the Air India flights, and they can be example of the fatigue of the pilot. They can be example of the fatigue of the pilot. They can be example of some other big underlying cause that have been there. So these particular things should not be ignored. These particular things should not be ignored. And in the past, we have seen that Air India has a long history of covering up the serious incidents, fine, with the blessing of the DGC. And even this hard landing that has happened in the Dubai, it should be a wake up call. It should be a wake up call. Okay. And basically, guys, when we talk about India, India boasts to have one of the fastest growing aviation market in the world. One of the fastest growing aviation market in the world, and India cannot have any lenient standards. So this should be a wake up call for India. So that is all, guys, about this article. And now moving on to the next article. Now, structured negotiations as a boost for disability rights. Structured negotiations as a boost for disability rights. Okay. Now, this particular article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2, social justice. GS paper number 2, social justice. Okay. Now, basically, this article is taking up a very important concept that you can use in your examination. What it is talking about? It is talking about the structured negotiation. Structured negotiation. Okay. Now, let's understand what this structured negotiation is all about. Suppose, guys, there is a disabled person, and the disabled person wanted to go to a bank. In the bank, there was no ramp, there was no lift, and because ramp and lift were not there, this disabled person was not able to enter the bank premises. Now, this is actually a discrimination that has happened with this person who was a disabled, which strictly goes against the Right of Person with Disabilities Act 2016. Right of Person with Disabilities Act 2016 very clearly provides that all the public buildings need to be made accessible. Okay, recently we have seen that even the Delhi High Court has ordered the OTT platforms to make the Pathan movie compliant to the differently abled people. Okay, so under the Right of Person with Disabilities Act, accessibility has specifically been mentioned. Now, what is structured negotiation? Suppose this disabled person was not able to access a bank. Then this disabled person or anybody representing the disabled people can negotiate with the bank authorities and they can solve this particular matter without going to the court. Without going to the court. So, what is the structured negotiation? It is a collaborative and a solution driven dispute resolution technique, which is increasingly being used as an alternative to litigation. Now you see this thing, that suppose this disabled person will approach the court, that building is not accessible, that person will be bothered, his time, her time will be wasted. At the same time, institutions credibility, reputation will get impacted that you are not disabled friendly. So what happens, both the parties outside the court can discuss and can come out with a solution. This is the structured litigation, and it is becoming an alternative system of dispute resolution. So these structured negotiation is successful in addressing the issues related to inaccessibility of ATMs. So many number of times ATMs are not accessible to the disabled people. POS, point of sale device. Now suppose I need to make the payment from my card. So when I need to make the payment from my card, they will ask me to enter my PIN code or something like that. Many number of times visually impaired people are not able to use them. So it is also again a issue of inaccessibility. Pedestrian signals, service providers, sometimes websites are not accessible. So in those matters, structured negotiation can be used, and defaulting service provider will also try to go forward and will agree to that. Now guys, recently what happened, there was this particular issue of Paytm. Paytm. So you all might have used the Paytm. So Paytm was given a notice that your application is not disabled friendly, and Paytm did that in very less time. Why? Because they did not want to be seen as non-compliant to disabled people. Also, if this matter will go to the court, high embarrassment and cost will be there. So all these companies, they do this particular thing. Okay. So basically guys, when we talk about India, I already told you about the disability legislation, that is Right of Person with Disabilities Act 2016. Now this particular act provides that if there is any non-compliance with the provision of this particular act, then they are to be reported to the Chief Commissioner for Person with Disabilities. Chief Commissioner for Person with Disabilities, all the matter is to be reported to him, and then they will give the notice to the defaulting service provider that either you resolve their problem or then you will be charged. Okay, and also I told you the recent example of Paytm. Okay, so in this particular capacity, one thing also need to be understand, that this dispute resolution system will be working only if the service providers are willing to give the rights, are willing to give their due share to the disabled people. Okay, fine. So this is guys all about this particular issue. So this key term that has come here, structured negotiation, it can be used in your answer of social justice, and it actually is going to enhance the weightage of your answers manifold. Okay, that is about it. And now moving to the next article. Rise in child marriages in West Bengal. We'll see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 2, social justice issues related to the children. So basically guys, when we talk about child marriages, so what has happened? Recently, a study was carried in Lancet. So Lancet Health Journal, it released a report by the name of Prevalence of Girl and Boy Child Marriages Across States and Union Territories. And in this particular report, it was provided that child marriages in the West Bengal, they have increased. First of all, there are the 4 states which have the highest child marriages: Bihar, West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra. They have the highest child marriages. In Bihar, 16.7% marriages that are happening, they're child marriages. But even in these states, West Bengal is the state which has seen an increasing trend in the child marriage, So there is an absolute increase in the head count in the child marriages. Okay, 5 lakh more girls are getting married now as a children in West Bengal. Now, when we talk about child marriage, understand this particular thing. We have PCMA, Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006, and this Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006 very clearly provides that the minimum age for marriage for boys is 21 years and for girls it is 18 years. Any marriage happening before this age is a child marriage. And when we talk about child marriage, it is referred to as a human right violation. It is recognized form of the sexual and gender based violence, because many number of times child marriages in most of the cases are of girls. And when we talk about West Bengal, particularly Murshidabad, so this is one of the most economically poor district of the West Bengal, and it has the highest number of child marriages in West Bengal. If you see, 55.4% of the women, they are married before the age of 18 years. So this is such high prevalence of child marriage in West Bengal. Now, what has happened? If we see, West Bengal government has come out with certain schemes also to reduce the child marriage, and in this capacity, Kanya Shri Prakalp scheme has been brought, which is a conditional cash transfer scheme which incentivizes the family to send girls to school rather than getting them married. So it targets the girls between the age of 13 to 18. If they are not getting married, conditional cash transfer is given. Also at the same time, they are also trying to sensitize the family. But guys, it has been seen that girls' enrollment in the school is increasing because of this particular scheme. But at the same time, child marriage still remains highest in West Bengal. It still remains highest in the West Bengal. Now, just a minute. Now, it has stayed a puzzle. It has stayed as a puzzle for the policy makers that why child enrollments are increasing. We are spending so much, but still the child marriages, they are so much high. So there can be certain reasons. That why child marriages are still high in West Bengal, and it has something to do with the migration pattern in West Bengal. So guys, if you see West Bengal, we see that migration is significant in West Bengal. Migration is significant in the West Bengal. A large number of people, they go to other states for working. Now, when these people, they are going to the other states for working, they don't want to leave their unmarried daughters at home. They want to marry their daughters and then they want to go. And because of this reason, even the girls, when they are not 18, they are getting married. Also, what happened? Married men who are going out, they want their wives to have children before they go out for the work. So because of this particular thing, guys, this is something that is happening. Okay, and when we talk about in the case of West Bengal, we find this particular thing that even there is a poor enforcement of the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. There is a poor enforcement of the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. If you see, just 105 cases were registered under the PCMA in 2021. And at the same time, if we see the states having less population, for example, Tamil Nadu, it even registered 169 cases. So there is a poor enforcement of the existing law also, which is partly responsible. Okay, moving on. Also guys, what has happened? Recently, government has come out with the Prohibition of Child Marriage Amendment Bill 2021. And by this particular bill, they have proposed that the minimum age for marriage for girls is to be increased to 21 years. But I highly doubt that it will be of any benefit, because anyhow, even though right now 18 years age is there, that is not getting followed. So just by increasing the age, will some benefit come? It is highly doubtful. So therefore guys, now what is to be done? We need to focus on grassroots, that the people are needed to be made aware. Okay, and only then basically it can be helpful. Okay, moving on. How voice cloning through artificial intelligence is being used for scams. We'll see this particular thing with GS paper number 3, cyber technologies and related issues. So basically guys, what has happened? We have seen recently that the voice clone fraud, they are on rise. And it has been seen that 47% of surveyed Indians, they have either been fallen victim of the AI voice scam, or they know anyone who has fallen victim to the AI scam. Now, this report's name is the Artificial Imposter Report. Artificial Imposter Report. 47% have been a victim to AI voice scam. Now, how this AI voice scam happens, let's understand this thing. So, somebody will make you a call, and from the other side you will hear the voice of your some relative or your loved one or your friend, and they might say that I have met with an accident and I urgently need 5,000, 10,000, or some big amount of money. Please transfer this money on this bank account or on this UPI ID. You will transfer because obviously your friend or your family member is in distress. But actually what happened here, somebody used your friend's voice sample, and through AI they use this particular voice sample to ask money from you. And 47% people in India, the ones who got surveyed, either they have become the victim of this AI voice scam, or they know somebody who has been victim of this voice scam. Okay, now this number is double than the global average. Global average is 25%, India's average is 47%. Now, guys, when we talk about one more report by McAfee, so McAfee says this particular thing, that 66% of the participants in this particular survey, they admitted that they would respond to a voice call or a phone call that appears to be from a friend. So if a so if a so if somebody is giving you a call in which somebody friend's voice is being used, you will respond to that. 66% will respond to that, specifically if it is from a parent or a spouse or their child. Okay, now how the scammers are doing this particular scam? What the scammers do? Scammers first of all finds an audio clip of a person, and these audio clips are available on social media very easily. So they first will take an audio clip, and then what they will do, they will upload this particular audio clip on many AI online programs that are there. For example Murph, Resemble, Speechify. There are so many of these AI, there are so many of these particular AI websites that are there. So their voice sample will be uploaded on there, and these platforms can translate that whatever you want them to say in that particular voice. So they can make a clone of a voice. Okay, and that clone will say whatever you want. And if we see many other big corporates also, for example Meta, it has come out with a seamless M40. What Apple is doing, Apple has introduced a voice cloning feature. So voice cloning and the advancement in AI that are happening, they are so rapid that in the years to come, what will happen, this AI voice can be used for giving for more and more scams. Now, in this capacity, USA, so US Federal Trade Commission, US FTC, they have launched a voice cloning challenge, where people have been asked that what idea you will suggest how we can reduce this voice cloning. So they have also, FTC is considering to bring a law to counter this particular voice cloning. And as AI is rapidly increasing right now, tomorrow this AI and AI voice cloning can become a very big challenge for India. Okay, so that is all guys about it. And now we'll move to the next article. Moving to the next article. With flexible courses, IITs open door for students studying in far-flung areas of India. Now guys, basically not a very big development, but you need to have this in your mind. You can use it for GS paper number 2, education and related issues. So what has happened? Now you know that IITs happen to be the premier institutions. Everybody wants to get affiliated with IITs. They want to have an IIT degree, or they want to have an IIT recognition. So basically, what recently has happened, so IIT, when we talk about it, 5 IITs are there: Ropar, Guwahati, Mandi, Patna and Kanpur. And now they have decided to come with an initiative. And this initiative is going to start from 24-25. So basically the students who are reading in some other college in tier 2, tier 3 city, they can do a diploma, or they can take a certificate from IIT in some kind of a minor specification. So students are studying in other colleges, they can get an IIT tag by opting for a minor specialization, for a minor diploma, for a minor bachelor's degree in IIT. Okay, so IIT is going to launch a lot of programs. Okay, a lot of programs IIT is going to launch, and these particular programs will be offered with the partnership with National Skill Development Corporation under Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas scheme. So a lot of programs will be offered by IIT. You can take these programs in IITs and then you get an IIT tag in your degree. Okay, IIT tag in your degree. Okay, so the core degree that will be there will be of your university only, but in that degree it will be mentioned that you have done some diploma or a course or a certificate from IIT also. So you can give an IIT touch to your higher education by this particular initiative. Okay, so this is something that has come in this particular direction. Now moving on, IIT Delhi team makes first high resolution landslide risk map for India. Okay, now this article will see with respect to GS paper number 3. GS paper number 3. Okay, disaster management. So basically guys, you have already seen this particular thing, that there was huge landslide that got triggered in 2023. Okay, particularly North India, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and because of that so many people have got suffered, a lot of property also got damaged. So what has happened, for the first time researchers at IIT Delhi, they have come out with the, for the first time researchers at IIT Delhi, what they have come out with a landslide susceptibility map of India. Landslide susceptibility map of India. Now, when we talk about the landslide, understand this thing. Landslides, they happen in a very localized areas and they affect around 1 to 2% of the country. 1 to 2% of the country. And right now, there is no one entire country level map which highlights the landslide susceptibility. And as landslide susceptibility map is not there in India, planning becomes very much difficult. Advance warnings cannot be given to the people. All these particular problems come here. So therefore, what has happened? Researchers at IIT Delhi, they have come out with the landslide susceptibility map, and for that, they have used 1.5 lakh landslide events that have happened. And they have taken that particular data from the Geological Survey of India. Other global sources, they have taken that particular data. They have collected information on the basis of the soil that is found in the different parts of the world. Okay, forest cover that is there, tree cover that is there. For example, guys, see, understand this particular thing. There are some correlation. If tree cover is less, if tree cover in a particular area is less, it means that it is more susceptible to the landslide. There are particular types of soils that are there, and these particular soils are more susceptible to the landslide. If a particular area, if a particular slope is near a heavy road where a lot of traffic is passing, they are more susceptible to the landslide because of the vibrations that will be caused. So on the basis of traffic movement, on the basis of soil type, on the basis of tree cover, on the basis of past events, what they have done, they have made this particular landslide susceptibility map. Okay, and this particular map has been created by using ensemble machine learning method. Now what is ensemble machine learning? It is when multiple machine learning models are working together and they are making one particular product. Okay, so by this landslide susceptibility map, what will be done now? By this particular model, now this particular model will be very much useful for the organization who are involved into the investigating landslides for GSI, Geological Survey of India, Ministry of Mines, NDMA. This particular map will be very much handy. So this is the development that has happened, and you can guys use these particular examples that such innovative techniques, so innovative products are needed for better disaster management. Landslide happens to be a very big disaster in India. Okay, and recently we have seen it. So such things are needed to be used and are needed to be rolled out on the pan-India basis. Such maps are to be used whenever developmental activities are also being taken up. Okay, so that is all guys about it. Moving on. Okay, use social media influencers. Prime Minister tells the police chief. You can use it as a case study in your GS paper number 4. You can use it as a case study in GS paper number 4 answers. Okay, so basically in GS paper number 4, there is a topic of there is a topic of social influence. Now, what is social influence? Social influence is a phenomena when you get influenced, when your thoughts, when your beliefs get changed because of a social influencer, a social influencing agency. often what happens, we see the social media influencers, we see YouTubers, we often see Instagrammers, and we get influenced by them. So basically these social media influencers today have a very big power. They can sell you products. Okay, they can make you vote for a particular thing. They can make you that, okay, you go on that channel and hate that, abuse that particular channel. So today these social media influencers, they have a very big power. And Prime Minister has asked the police forces that these social media influencers are to be used for constructive purpose, for spreading awareness about government schemes, for improving the image of the police, because often police's image has not been good. So for perception altering, these social media influencers are to be used. So I will not advise you to go too much in this particular article, but you can just use that how the Prime Minister has talked about the constructive use of social media influencers. Now they can be used for spreading the sensitization against the minority communities, differently abled people, LGBT people. They can be used to educate the people with respect to government schemes, government welfares, etc. So just as a case study, you can use it in your GS paper number 4. And then the main practice question for today. So question reads, why are girls getting married early despite receiving an education? Have the cash incentive for girls to study been effective? GS paper number 2, 10 marker question. That is all guys about it. Okay, with this we come to an end to the today's session. Now guys, we'll be meeting tomorrow. And guys, if you have liked the session, you can see the hard work that it takes to prepare it. Please do reciprocate it by hitting the like button. Please do subscribe to the channel, and also please do leave in the comment as what will be the right answers for the questions that we have discussed. Thank you so much.